need 3. All right, if anyone, this is, we'll give you a little rundown on like how to make a fucking chest piece, right? Or how to make a leather set. So the first thing about making a leather set is the combinations of your leather is going to make your different type of square. And the different type of square is going to dictate which type of stat is going to go on the armor. This could also apply to like blacksmithing as well, or whatever, armor smithing, because you know, different type of stat, probably what different type of mail or whatever they call it. In this leather, it's called square. So say I want to make 3 of these. Should have organized my leather a little better.
Wait, shit. Sorry to interrupt, but before you start crafting,
Yeah.
which stack of the leather would have to be replaced with flexible for me to get the piercing damage?
You can't.
Maybe
Piercing
the
damage
durable
is
stack?
flexible.
No, I know. I can buy it off the vendor, so I'm asking, like, which would it be, the durable that I'd have to give you?
Hold on, dude. I'm gonna give you a
to,
link real
get the
quick.
piercing
I'm gonna
damage?
give you a link real quick. This link is gonna save so much time for you wondering and having to find people to learn this from. Because when I was crafting, I used to just keep this tab open, tab underneath all the time. And I want to give a shout out to Winter Blades for fucking creating this. You guys, this is an awesome site, dude. Much appreciated. You might have to update it a little bit for launch, but I have used this so much, right? This is the crafting combinations it'll show you all the different combos for all the different crafting for what you need to add in combination to get which stat you want to get, right? You scroll down, there's all the different ones. I think it's weaponsmith. When you open it, it'll be weaponsmith. If you go down to the bottom, there's leatherworking, and you can see all the different kinds of squares and hardened squares and what they give you. Hardened squares, piercing damage is soft, flexible, flexible. So in order to make those, I would need 30 soft and tab back out. Let's see,
56 flexible?
60. So there'd be.
Oh, I think it's just like one of like.
Here it is. Plentiful resources, animal +3. Plentiful of meat, animal +6.
Okay, cool. On the discipline. Neat.
Because meat is used to make sinew, lacing sinew. That's why it's like the product of skinning for leatherworking. Okay, back to where we were. What did I say it was? So soft, that was flexible, flexible, right? Is that what I said the combo was? Soft, flexible. Where's flexible? Flexible, flexible. Didn't I just grab the sinew? No, I grabbed the meat. I was trying to make this all nice and orderly. Maybe I could like highlighted it, made a little quick vid, but whatever. All right, so we need sinew. Drop the meat up in here. Boom. That's not enough meat. Okay, I got about 65. There we go, 63. That's enough. There's some dust in here. Now I got some sinew. Hardened squares. We need 3 of them for a chest piece. Every chest piece is going to be 3 hardened squares, whatever the type that you're trying to stack, stat-wise. In this case, our combination is going to be soft in the first slot and flexible in the next 2 slots. And then we get our sinew. We assemble these. Now we have 3 hardened leather squares. And if we highlight over here, we got piercing damage bonus plus whatever. That's going to multiply later. Don't worry, that's going to be a much bigger number later. But that's where you can see the damage statistics, piercing damage bonus. So now we'll go down here, we'll hit the chest piece. He brought us the buckle, so I don't have to go to the blacksmith and make a buckle, but if you do need to go there, you can just go over to the armor smith, blacksmithing. Anyone can make them. It's not, you don't have to be one. You can make buckles and rivets. Anyone can. So we get that in there. We get our 3 squares, and we get our dust. Now I'm currently green leatherworking discipline and green leatherworking belt on this tune as of now. So my risk is not going to be the greatest. Oof. Which we now have flawed assembly, which is not good, which is bad, but they made it now where you can fix the flaws for dust. So just to show that we're going to spend the 160 dust, which is not cheap. And then we managed to get the piece made. Now normally with the headpiece, the gloves, or the boots, I put all the stats into armor because those only give you resistances. But on the chest piece is the one piece that actually gives you stats towards the damage that you're putting on, and in this case we're putting on piercing damage. So I will put all the allocated experimentation points into the piercing damage, so we get the highest multiplier we can for the piercing damage. The rest I will put into armor, but for the rest of the pieces, those will be backwards. So now there's also this bar we have here, the add risk. We have the different risks that we can take. My experimentation stats are at 55.86 right now. To do no risk, that's a level 30 difficulty, but we're gonna pump it up a little bit. That takes about 60. That's a little higher than I could be doing. I could pop a bond tipper and I could probably surpass that number and get a higher one, but this isn't really like a legendary gear or nothing crazy, so we're just gonna run it at a little higher and see how our rolls go. Now as you can see, rolls had come out the greatest. Some of them hit pretty hard. This one is pretty much broke, so we're gonna polish it off, get a reroll on our 3 lowest experimentation slots. Got rid of that one, wiped it up. So now is our final product. We're just gonna call it Sub to Lucid because I don't feel like thinking of a clever name for a loot that's not gonna go anywhere too far. Now we pull it, wasn't lucky enough to get a disc, but now if we look at this piece, on top of like say the +5 damage bonus, say comparing this blue leather piece that you find somewhere, right? As you can see, it's gonna have way more armor because you've seen that we didn't allocate the points in the armor, we allocated it into the ability damage or whatever. So on top of the damage +5 bonus, where the piece we found has nature damage +4, we have piercing damage +2.92. Now as higher tier leatherworker goes, when you get higher, get like gold and like a purple or gold belt, the pieces you make, even like the basic standard white stuff will end up being a lot better, and you'll be able to run like basic white gear as like stock stuff if you need, and it will compare up to like green or blues that you find randomly. The big difference between crafted gear and gear that you find is the durability. When you find a piece of gear, it usually only has a durability of 500, which means after you die a couple times, it's gonna break and be over and done with. Whereas if it's crafted, it usually has a durability of close to 2000 or higher, which means you have a lot more times of dying before your gear breaks, and then you then have to replace it with a new piece. So even wearing basic white gears made by a high tier crafter can be more beneficial than wearing and having to swap out and constantly farm blue drops from camps that you find. Now, let's see, for the gloves we need squares. So now you said you don't care what resistance it has for squares, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Alright, well we need 7 squares. I know this just because it's like instinctual at this, but I'll show you guys anyways. You need 2 for the boots, and 3 for the headpiece, and 2 more for the gloves. So that's 7 squares. Again, the different combinations of leather that you're adding to this will give you the different types of squares, and the different types of squares determine the different kinds of resistances that will go onto the pieces of gear. And you can change quantity, and since I already know we need 7, I'm going to up it all the way to 7. What do we have the most of? 56, perfect. Durable goes in first. We'll drop the soft in next, and then sinew. Assemble this. Now we have 7 squares of soft corium, which is fire resistance. So now when we make the next couple pieces, it'll have fire resistance on it. So we'll go to boots, we'll prop 2 of these squares in and a rivet, and throw some dust in there. Awesome, successful attempt. So now, since these are all resistances, I usually tend to put points into armor, so you get more armor, and then whatever remaining points go into stats. Again, when you're higher tier, say like gold, you'll have many more points to add, and you could practically almost fill out 2 of these. We'll raise the risk. Oh no, it's already on. Okay, it's already set. We do a negligible risk. We'll name it sweaty gym shoes. And remember, if you want to name your gear at any point, you have to do it during the crafting process. You can do it right here in the top left above the item, and you have to do it while crafting it. This can be helpful. Say you put your gear in your bank, say it was a crafting set, you can name it, have it named crafting set or something, and then you can search in your bank for a crafting set and you'll find your whole set where you need to find it. So naming things does help. So if you stress that to your crafters, they will do that for you. Let's run experiments, see what we get on rolls. I mean, not too bad of rolls. I polish it up. I always polish my stuff because it makes your rolls better, just making all of your gear better. So it's always worth doing. You guys, I appreciate those follows. Welcome to the stream. Teal Leaf, Seth X. Awesome, dude. I got a leatherworking disc out of that. And now, if you guys are grinding out leatherworking, another good helpful tip is to get your discs, you want to use either boots or gloves to farm them, because it's the most cost efficient thing to make. Sure, if you're making gear sets, you'll have the chance of getting them, but if you're trying to grind out discs and minimize the amount of hide that you're using for your squares, you want to use boots and gloves because they only cost 2 squares, whereas the cap costs 3 squares, and the tunic is hardened leather squares, which take more leather to make. And also a buckle instead of a rivet. Alright, what do we need now? We need gloves. Right, boots. Or the cap. Drop 3 in here, drop the rivet and some dust. Assemble, pop the armor, stats. Name it Old Fishing Hat. We're just having fun today. Run experiment. Not the greatest, but you see how these 2 right here are low? Like, it's a kind of shit roll on these 2. That's why we always polish it off. Spend the 10 dust. 10 dust is nothing, alright? You trip over a branch out in the wilderness and you find 10 dust. Spend the 10 dust, polish your armor, polish your stuff. If you're gonna use it, you're gonna wear it, polish it. If you're just grinding out points, you don't need to polish it because the stats won't matter if you're just gonna sell it. But if you're using your gear, always polish it. Alright, that means just the gloves. Slots, rivets. Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to name the gloves?
Shovel grips.
Shovel grips.
Shovel grips.
Like it. Alright, we'll get shovel grips in there. Put points in the armor, the stats. Again, same wrist meter. Run it. Oof. Good thing we're polishing. It's going to replace those 3 spots that were crap rolls. And this might actually be decent rolls. Ooh, see? Look at that. We got a gold roll on that one that would have been broken if we didn't polish it. We take it. Didn't get a disc. That's okay. So now we have head, chest, gloves, and boots. Now comparing this to some of the stuff that I'm wearing, right? So here's a common that, oh, actually I crafted that one. Crafted that one too. This is a found. Okay, so here's a green that I found, right? So the armor is 192. The armor on these is 104. It's not that big of a difference. And I'm also only green. So you think if I was a higher tier discipline and I was still crafting the whites, they would be better than these found greens. Not only because of the durability, but the points will actually be better. You'd be better off using that. What's your skinning disc color? It is purple. As of last night, I got purple, and I will be skinning in the dregs tonight. Alright, your gear is done. It is ready for delivery. It's been Lucid Abstract with your quick, somewhat tutorial on how to craft a leather set.